Are 10, 9, ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to the Alien Probe Podcast. It's Saturday, November 12th, 2022. I'm Doug, joined again today. It's Dr. Bill.
Hi.
Bill, how is it? How's the weather?
Actually, the
You
weather's
okay now?
weather's nice now. We just had that hurricane again, and it was worse than the last one. So we had a tree come down across the street to block the road. We had a 12-foot cactus fall over, and yeah, it was supposedly this was going to be a lesser hurricane than the last one went through, but it was actually worse for us.
We need to chainsaw that cat. Do you have a chainsaw?
I do, yeah. I'm an electric. The cactus, no, it's it's soft. You just hack it,
Chop it.
chop it. I gotta
Chop it up.
and put it in garbage bins and garbage cans for the people to pick up, the waste management to pick it up. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was worse. Not as much rain though. The last one there was a lot of rain. We only got 2 inches of rain, but we got more wind. And the wind is what really hurts you.
Yeah, my sister's house, they got the wind too. What do they call it? Linnea? Is that how you pronounce that? That thing that covers the pool?
Yeah, the Linnea.
Linnea. And her husband was up there fixing that. Last time the last one they got flooding all around their house. It looked
Yeah.
like they were on a houseboat.
Yeah.
But luckily nothing got in the house, and my brother-in-law saved the chickens from the chicken coop.
Yeah,
So
that
it
was
worked
good.
out pretty
That was a
good.
good photo. Him carrying the chickens out in waders.
I was worried about any alligators going just wading through there. I'd be real concerned about alligators.
That could happen.
You know,
You got to keep your eyes open.
it's weird how here in California, you can go into any body of water and not really think about getting eaten. But in Florida, you don't just,
Florida, you always keep an eye on the water.
it's
Yeah.
your dog. We throw our stick in the water for the dog. And remember, I was thinking about moving. I would love to move there because and you can't just randomly throw a stick in the water for your dog and may never get your dog back.
Well, your dog is big enough where it might be okay. So I'd be worried about little
I
dogs.
don't
Well,
know,
they've grabbed a few joggers. So,
it's amazing to me that they don't run that fast out of the water, right?
they can really sprint for about 5 yards. They're very fast.
Really?
But they burn out fast. So they can lunge out of the water and move on the land really fast and grab you. So they've grabbed a couple joggers. They can grab a dog. That's happened frequently. Then in Disneyland, one of them came out of the water and grabbed a kid.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Disney World. Yeah.
Disney World. Yeah.
That's weird how I know in Disney World was in all kinds of trouble because of that. Because like, how could you allow this? Well, they can get wherever, So, I mean, even my sister had a little one, and she has a pond, and she had a little one that, went into her pond briefly. I don't think it stayed, and then it wandered off after a certain amount of time. So it's just weird about how to worry about that.
Well, there's, Florida has alligators. I think they have crocodiles way far south too. And then they have numerous poisonous snakes and numerous poisonous insects. So it's actually pretty. It is what it is. I mean, we grew up.
Yeah.
There was rattlesnakes and mountain lions. Mountain lions were a rare occurrence. They're becoming more frequently, but we were taught you keep an eye out when you're in the mountains. You keep an eye out for mountain lions and rattlesnakes.
And bears.
Bears, we didn't worry about them.
We
didn't worry about bears too much. We didn't have, that was the brown bears were pretty mild. I don't know about these days because they're not as scared of people as they used to be.
They say the black bears are the ones that'll eat you pretty fast. At least up here, we don't get them down where I'm at because I'm in the flatlands.
Well, and then
up in the hills.
the ones you really have to worry about are the grizzlies, but that's not
Yeah, that's
in
out
California.
of our area.
Not now. There used to be, I think, at one point.
Yeah. Did you see the Tyrannosaurus head that they're auctioning off
Is
at
that
Sotheby's? I think Sotheby's is
is it just the
auctioning.
head or the whole
It is
skeleton?
just the head, and they've got it. Um, they've got it. They found it in Montana or whatever, and then they had to. You could tell that there's bars. They've welded. They've formed it around. It looks good,
Mm-hmm.
but they formed a frame that they had to attach it to because I'm sure when they dug it up, and it's got like teeth. They said it was probably killed by another dinosaur or had been in a fight with another dinosaur at some point because it had teeth holes like right in this lower jaw that they were showing. But I asked Debbie would she would, put a bid in for it for me for the living room. I would look good in the living room while we
So
have a
it's
big area.
probably won a few
Yeah, but
million for it.
they're like it's like 11 mil. So I
Yeah,
think I'm out.
yeah.
I think I'm out. Unless I have to go find my own, I guess. I don't know. It's where I have some fossils. I don't have a T-Rex head, and I'd really love to kind of have that. So
You get a little
so
one.
now we talk some let's talk some Artemis. So did you listen to the teleconference where they discuss what they're going to do, what the plan is? They were supposed to launch Monday, right? The 14th.
Um,
We were going to do a show.
yeah. Well, they shifted that to Wednesday at
Yeah,
one
they're
o'clock
on
in the
for
morning.
Wednesday now.
Is it
And then they had some people call in and
is it
ask questions.
is it Tuesday Wednesday at 1 a.m.?
1 a.m. your time.
Yeah,
So it'll be
on the
10 my time. So
on
you'll be drinking coffee and I'll be drinking screwdrivers.
yeah.
And it should be an interesting. You want to do it live?
I don't know how. Can you do it live?
I don't know how good it'll be.
Oh, you could put it up. Well, we don't know if it's going to actually do it, so we'll
Well, not live, but did you want to record it? I
Oh
should
yeah,
say.
yeah, we'll
You don't
have
have to do it
what I'll
live.
do is we'll have the while we do it, I'll put the NASA live feed in with us.
Okay.
So you'll have to watch it separately on a different device, but
I'll just I'll bring it up without sound on my tablet
yeah, and
and just have it sit here.
I'll have the live feed up here somewhere, and
Okay.
we'll just we'll talk while the live feed's going on, and I guess we'll start. Well, I guess we should start at 12:30 my time.
Yeah, 9:30 my time.
Yeah, and then we should know if they should have we'll know if it's the fueling process is going well by 10 p.m. my time. So if the fueling
Okay.
process, if it looks like it's going to fail, we'll keep an eye on it. But if they abort we'll know if they're going to abort the mission probably by
Right.
10 or 11. And if
I'll
they
need to. Yeah, I'll need to. Yeah, and I'll need to warn Debbie that she'll have to hear me talking because the bedroom
oh
is over by the studio.
oh yeah, it's but it's not that
Put
late.
on your earphones, dear, because
It's
you're gonna
not.
have to listen to Doug and Doctor. Well, you won't have to listen to Doctor Bill because all my
Yeah,
headphones
you
on.
can shut the door. Just shut the door.
Yeah,
It
She has super hearing.
it shouldn't be
Super hearing, not like me, where I should probably get hearing. I should get hearing aids.
what?
Yeah.
Um. So
So yeah,
so
they'll.
we'll do that. We'll
But
look.
well, let's talk about the. I mean, they talked about the same thing over and over. But
Yeah.
the wind from the hurricane. What was the hurricane's name? Some girl's name.
Luna.
No, it was Christina or whatever the name was. They called it this time.
I don't know.
And so the wind was 100 mile. I mean, I found it, and we've talked about Artemis, about our views on what's going to happen with the with this, and they talked about because the craft, the spacecraft, has been buffeted by 100-mile-an-hour winds at the top. It's
Oh.
rated for. It hit 100. They said in gusts, not sustained.
Mm-hmm.
Down there in at Kennedy Space Center or Cape Canaveral. Is it the same thing? Kennedy Space. I don't know. For Pad 39B.
Yeah, that they had a name change, so it was like I don't know. They did the
Yeah. So anyway,
Cape Canaveral was called something, and then they changed it back, and yeah, who knows? It doesn't matter.
So Anyway, so the question was posed by one of the reporters that are we, is it a concern because they have parameters that they, it causes damage to I can't. It's just I found it interesting that we can launch this thing at, off the Earth at however many miles per hour through the atmosphere, and we're worried about 100-mile-an-hour winds. It just seems odd that that's a concern, but yet we can put it through these forces
Well,
going
it's
through the atmosphere.
well, it's not designed to do this, rock back and forth. It's designed
Yeah.
to have the stress straight up and down.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I suppose so, but I just thought as they were asking that because I guess when they pull it out on that thing that's a rail car, for lack of a better term, it's a flatbed rail car that's on, and it brings it back into, the building when, they didn't have time or whatever. They didn't do, they found it safer. They didn't want this thing getting hit while it was rolling because it probably would have knocked it down. I don't know.
yeah. But the hurricane was predicted to be and was a lot milder than um, previous ones because it's so late in this season. And they said that, but they were saying the gusting didn't exceed the safety parameters for the craft, I believe.
That is true.
Yeah.
But they were concerned that, not NASA, but this reporter said, well, I guess when you move it from one place to the next, that they have to torque down the bolts because they get loose. And so they said,
I have no idea.
and there was some sealant that they called RTV. It's a sealant that's apparently not really important because the sealant was coming out, and NASA said they were just, as it fell out of wherever it was, they were just going to cut it off and not worry about it this time.
Yeah, I heard that part. I really didn't. So it like solidifies when it like squeezes out of the thing.
They said that it came out from the wind. The wind made it come out.
Yeah.
The hurricane made it fall out. But they're not going to reseal it. They're just going to cut off. And it kind of begs the question: why do you put it in there if you don't need it?
I don't
And is
know.
that a good solution?
I don't know. Well, we'll
Well, we're
see.
not rocket scientists, obviously.
Well,
But
we'll see. I mean,
you know,
it's the if they have a successful mission, a successful launch, then it wasn't it wasn't critical. It's there
it
for a
seems like
reason, but
I don't know. Like I texted you, it seems like they've had multiple. I don't want to say failures. They've had multiple reschedules because of different things, the O-rings and that they fixed before, and then the couple of hurricanes, and but there seemed to be a large sense of urgency to get this thing done, which they should be. I mean,
I
but no more than anything else.
yeah, I'm not sure they're.
What's the over under, Bill? The
Oh, I don't
success.
know. I was thinking they did that test fueling or whatever it was in the last thing. They did all that testing and they did like a fueling test and stuff. I- and that was successful, and I felt they should have just went then. I mean, they were like,
Yeah,
the fueling is working, it was like everything was working, but they ran it as a fueling test instead of as a pre-launch thing. And I felt that they were being overly cautious, but we'll see. It's going to be um, we'll see. We'll
I
see
think
we'll see it is. We'll
they're
talk
getting
about it. We'll
credit.
be there. We'll talk about it. We will.
Yeah,
We will
I
do it.
mean, they're gonna, and then the other things are launching at night. It's like it doesn't
Oh,
make,
oh,
you know,
oh! I love that. The thing is, they still got tickets. You can go there and sit in like the visitor center, which is 8 miles from the launch. They're still selling tickets. Oh, I don't know. They might be sold out by now, but I
how
got
much
one of
are
their
they?
emails. $100.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Eight
Well,
miles.
my sister said, "Are you coming down?" And I said, this thing could be rescheduled a couple times. I don't know if I'm anticipating it getting rescheduled again, but it could go the 19th and then, or
Yeah.
it could go the 25th, which is the day after Thanksgiving. And she said, just come on down, just do things. Like, oh, I don't think you want me there for 2 weeks or what that would be, a week or whatever it is, week and
But
a half,
yeah, it's
you know.
I was tempted. I was tempted, but I actually think what I'm going to try and do is get tickets for the first manned
Yeah,
launch, which is going to be hard to get and a big deal. But
yeah.
it will be absolutely spectacular to see the launch at night.
Well,
You got to
even
be
even
kidding.
from her house, it's going to look good, I'll bet.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well, she's really
I mean,
close.
this is her town that she's in is really close. So you could almost, I hope they she videoed on one or two of the other launches and they weren't big. This is the largest rocket that's in history, I think, as far as power, is what I heard. It's got four, I think the space shuttle's got two of these engines. I think it's got like four.
Yeah,
And
it's got a bunch
yeah,
of the old space shuttle engines
yeah,
packed in there
they were
doing.
they were out in the weeds in the back by pad 39B, and they pulled them out of the weeds, pulled all the tules out of them, and then
Yeah,
painted it, and
painted
then
it. Just as the engines and the boosters. We'll see
no,
how.
I just picture them sitting on the ground. Yeah, well, we're going to use these because I guess there's nothing new, not like SpaceX where everything's new.
And they're constantly refining. Yeah, they
It seems weird to me. Sorry, I just
they
thought
well
I'm
Congress
not confident.
Congress mandated that they use
Like
the
we don't have the money. I mean, we can
no,
send
we
how
don't
many
have the money.
billions overseas? Sending billions overseas, but we're using surplus spacecraft parts, and we're gonna not so bad now, but when we put some people in there and
You're
something goes bad, then there might be serious questions as to whether we should be using surplus spaceship parts, putting, putting man into space, men
yeah.
and women.
So your sister is about 15 miles from the.
And that's going to be that's going to look good at 15 miles.
So I'm looking at the oh, Cocoa Beach is right there. Huh. Where's the launch pad? I'm looking for the launch.
She was telling me that she knows people that they get in their boats and they go down, I think it's the Indian River
Yeah, yeah.
next to there, and they moor the boat. I mean, they hardly have any room, I guess. There's so many people that do it. And they take their boats so they can you can't get right on there, but you can get close enough to where it's a really great, the shot is really great. That would be awesome.
Huh. Well, they're saying
Mhm.
I don't know the thing. They're saying 8 miles. Where's the
The visitor center.
yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been there. I gotta go down there. Oh, I see it. I got it right there. Huh. Visitor center is yeah. One got a ruler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they must be down at the edge of the complex. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's about 8 miles. So this map isn't showing the launch pads.
So
Oh,
anyway,
there
it
we
should
go.
be
There we go. Yeah, I got the launch pad. Yeah, it's about 8 miles to the visitor center is what they're saying. But you can also, God, you could get, you're almost as close if you just rent a hotel room down at Cape Canaveral or Cocoa Beach.
you know what those are going for.
Well, book them early.
If I went down there, I would just go to my sister's
Yeah,
house. 15 miles,
your sister.
probably close enough for me to get a good shot at night.
Oh yeah, that would be
Yeah,
a night
night
launch.
shot.
We
It's gonna
probably
look good. It just seems weird to me that why are you guys doing it at night? I mean, they want to have cameras and look at different things about how the rocket's acting. I mean, I know they have lights and things, but
they have a launch window, so they're going for there's certain periods of time that you can launch. You have a launch window, so this launch window
so
just happens to be at night. which is why
Yeah, so the moon is at a certain position
it's got everything's
based on the trajectory of
yeah,
the craft and all that.
position of the moon, rotation of the Earth, things like that. So they have
You know,
that's why it's at night, and that I think it would be spectacular.
well, it's going to look good, but they didn't seem to be concerned that it's enough. That's why I think they're kind of pushing. It's weird because I think they would prefer to do it during the day, but they're in a hurry.
It doesn't matter if
That's
it's at day or in the evening. The other one,
well, they observe. They have to be. I know I'm not a rocket scientist,
they
but they
got
should be
lights.
able
They got
to
big lights.
observe. They have lights, but I mean, during the day, you can. If something went wrong, it would be. And you have cameras, and you're not gonna have lights on it as it's flying up through the atmosphere. If something goes haywire, which possibly could.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it
It'd be
goes.
better if you could just see it during the daytime to see. Of course, did you hear that they found a piece of the Challenger
Yeah, in the ocean.
at the bottom of the Atlantic there? They were looking for aircraft, World War II aircraft or things.
I don't know how big
There's a lot of stuff off your shore that's sank. Ships and a lot of aircraft and
well, that's true anywhere. And there's a lot of military bases and stuff in Florida. So that's true anywhere. I think where there's air bases and old military bases, you're always going to have junk all over the place.
So can you imagine you're down there diving, then all of a sudden, holy crap, a big piece of the Challenger. That would be eerie.
I didn't see the pictures. I don't know how big the piece was.
It just looks like a big piece of the body.
How big was it?
It was big. I mean, it was, I'd have to say at least 30 feet.
I'm actually surprised that they put some
Go
effort
online,
in.
you can see them.
All right.
Yeah, I did. And there was a video. There's a YouTube. I think it's YouTube. You can see it. And then the divers they're being careful with it, and they're reporting it to NASA. And I don't know if NASA's going to try to retrieve it or.
Well, I'm surprised that they didn't. There was a big recovery effort after the Challenger. I'm surprised they didn't find such a big piece.
Well, lost interest after they got the bodies. They got all the bodies out of there.
Yeah.
Everybody, as they say, but they said they were alive all the way down to the time.
Till the impact. Yeah, that was the priority was the recovery of the people.
Yeah, they just wanted the bodies of the 7 astronauts that were there.
Yeah.
And that was sad, though. That was sad. Were we working together when that happened?
Yeah.
We were at San Leandro?
Yep. We were in the little warehouse.
The little distributor.
Yeah.
We were working together when that happened. I remember that.
We were in the back, and I can't remember the guy that was the accountant that used to go to baseball games by himself and sit in the bleachers.
The guy that grew up in Interlincoln.
And I always admired the guy because he would take time off to go to the because we were fairly close,
right by the Coliseum.
Yeah, and he'd go over and he loved baseball, and he'd go over there and buy a ticket and go watch a game in the bleachers. I think he came in and said that something happened with the Challenger, and then we pulled the radio out and turned it on, and we're standing there listening to the news reports. It was shocking.
Yeah.
And then the next one, I think it was Columbia, blew up or burned up on reentry, and it's funny because that first one was such a shock. You know exactly where you were and what you were doing when it happened, but then it's like Columbia happened. It's like I don't remember where I was. I mean, I was up in the foothills when I lived up there, and I walked out, and you literally could see the streams of pieces. Yeah,
from the thing. Yeah, there was.
Oh, they were gonna land it at Vandenberg then.
Edwards.
They're landing it on the west. It was a West Coast landing. So that's why you
flew right over it, like disintegrated almost like right above us.
That's why you remember that.
Yeah, I know. I walked outside and went, I wonder if I could see anything. And man, sure enough, you could see all the streams. Just looked like contrails of pieces. It was unreal. But and it was weird because I sent you a note. I had seen we were watching I could see a rocket launch. It could almost looks like you think it's a jet, but you can tell if you look for a few minutes that it's not a jet. It's something going straight up in the air.
Yeah.
yesterday morning, one of my guys, was also talking to him, and he goes, "Yeah, I saw that." And so I tried looking it up, and there was nothing at Vandenberg, which is where we launch usually.
Yeah.
And so I guess they don't make it public every time they launch something. Or it was military. It might have been a military something. I don't
They
know.
probably, well, they have to put out, it has to be public to the level of the airspace has to be, they'll label the
Yeah.
airspace to say that they're doing a launch just to keep planes clear of a certain area around the launch.
Right.
So you probably could get that information. That would be like a news release or something, or an FAA announcement for the area around the base. You probably
Yeah. It was
find
just
that.
weird because they had the whole schedule. You can look up the whole schedule
But
for Vandenberg.
for the launches, but the like even the secret launches, they're going to still say they're going to have a launch. They don't tell you what's going to be on
Yeah.
the they don't tell you what the payload is or any other information. Yeah, Columbia disaster was February 1, 2003. Oh, they got pictures of the streaks in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I saw.
that's why you remember that.
Yep. It was eerie. It was really eerie.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was in Chicago then, so I don't remember that. In 2000 and February 1, 2003. Yeah, I was in grad school hell with that weird ass lab I was
So
in.
anyway, we'll watch. We'll see how that goes and see if we're going to do that.
Yep.
And then we've got moment of contact from Brazil in 1996, that was also referred to us by Corey.
This is
And
a documentary,
yeah,
and the guy that made it is Jamie Foxx. Let's give him the info.
yeah.
If I can find it.
But it's from 2022. The incident happened in January 20th, 1996. The documentary is brand new, and it came out. You can find it on Amazon for $4.99. But it's well worth it. I would definitely. I don't want to plug it because we're plugging it. I want to plug it because it's a good documentary.
Are we plugging it? James Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the price has gone down. It's now $3.99 on Prime Video.
Oh, no.
It's also on Vimeo, and he said that on Vimeo listened to an interview of Jamie Foxx, and he said on Vimeo there's 2 hours of extra footage that you can look at if you rent it, I think. Let's take a look. Join for free. No, I'm not joining. I think I do belong to Vimeo.
It was interesting because they led off with NORAD reported UFOs to Brazil, but then they there was nothing else mentioned about that.
Vimeo.
So I don't know if NORAD called, hey, do you know that, from Cheyenne Mountain, if they call Brazil and said, did you know there's some UFOs flying over your...
Yeah, that was okay. So there's an important point. So it starts out where there was a guy that ran up, saw the thing crashing, or saw the ship crashing.
He was close.
He was close.
Castillo, the guy that was really close, looked like a washing machine, he said.
And then it came down. And it was coming down. He's the guy. He does this thing where he's talking about it, and he's got this stick which is broken off, and it's a great scene. And he went to the crash site, but the thing is he was at the crash site, and the military showed up really fast.
Yeah.
And that
they were immediate, we always hear about that though, how they know in advance. So does NORAD know?
Well,
or does
Well, I was thinking about that. If they were tracking it, I mean, it must. That's the thing that I find really curious. If they might have been tracking to get there that fast, they were tracking it, and they like dispatched, and the whole thing. And then it's like, if it's NORAD, and they said NORAD notified the
Brazilian military.
So NORAD tracked it flying over the U.S. all the way to Brazil, and its trajectory for crashing.
Yeah, and told him exactly where it was apparently.
But we can't do that now for like
No,
UFOs. We don't have that
no, we can't do it
technology. It's
now.
not capable.
And that's pretty recent if you think about it. No, and there's a lot of curious things that happened with this. I mean, it crashed and two aliens survived, correct? Well, two aliens. One survived, I think, and it was sent somewhere, and the other one was, the two little girls, in the city discovered it, and it was hunched down.
So yeah, so there was this crash, and we don't know. They didn't really lay out how far the crash was, but then there was the three little girls. Well, and then the military came in, so the crash happened, and then the military came in and they set up roadblocks in this town. They were telling people that they couldn't go down certain streets. So the military was in town looking for something. And those three little girls walked through at that time, I think it was an open field, and they saw this creature crouched up against the wall.
Yeah, it was like a little area between some buildings, and it was lean, like cowering. And they said that they could actually feel how it was feeling. I mean, there's a lot of similarities in this encounter that we hear in other encounters.
Well,
They were feeling what the creature was scared.
yeah.
And it was, and they said they felt scared, but not necessarily because they felt scared. They kind of felt like they were feeling what the creature was feeling.
Yeah, and that was the same thing that the kids said when they saw the crash at
Socorro or whatever.
Socorro, yeah, the
As,
Trinity crash.
mm-hmm.
And those kids were saying they felt a lot of empathy for the creatures or whatever they were. What I found was interesting is that the creature was brown with red eyes, and it looked like it had little horns. So it makes me wonder. It almost looked like a demonic creature, and I'm wondering how
That's
much.
what the mom was there, and the mom, because they're Christian, and the mom had stated that
Catholic. They're Catholic.
Catholic, Catholic, of
Catholic.
course.
It's
And then
south of the border, it's Catholic.
And then the mom said it could be a little demon,
Yeah,
but
yeah. And then they, what else did they say? Did they say anything? The girls saw it, and they went to their mom. And then there was was he an officer in the military, and another guy found one and grabbed it and
yeah,
brought it.
it wasn't an officer. It was, well, like a police officer kind of thing.
I thought he was a
I don't
military
think
officer.
he was.
He's
He was
intelligence.
he wasn't police. But he wasn't an officer. He was
Enlisted
enlisted, and he actually picked the thing up
and carried it to the
and
hospital.
carried it brought it to the hospital because it was, in bad shape. And he got an oily substance all over. And the other thing is because we'll go back to Castillo about what it smelled like after the thing crashed, and he observed it's that ammonia,
Yep.
sulfur,
Yep.
all the things and if you go to our Roswell incident about the discussions that they had in the hospital, is that when they were doing the autopsy, that same type of description of smell of the acrid ammonia and sulfur, and just keeps, I don't want to say rearing its ugly head, but it keeps getting described very similar in this incident.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the extra bonus features if you get it on Vimeo. And Vimeo has a really terrible interface. So but Vimeo, as we've discovered with the flat Earth videos, Vimeo seems designed to make it hard to find stuff on purpose. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But this on Moment of Contact on Vimeo, you get bonus features, and it's got a behind the scenes incident at the zoo, Stanton Friedman interview, UFO history, Varginha. And
the town that it
Yeah,
ran around in.
Vargina. And
Hyena.
Ubiraha Rodriguez interview. So, and that's 2 hours of bonus material if you get it on Vimeo. But Vimeo, you got to pay $20 for it. And on it's $3.99 on Amazon right now. So for people interested, it's worth watching. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I would like to see the bonus material, but I think I'll wait until the price comes down, which it will
Yeah.
do. But yeah, it's so the guy Castillo who saw the crash, and they had a great thing where they went back and took him around to the original site. And the guy like just broke down when he found the original site, which is impressive. And they he said that the military was there really fast, and then they threatened him, said he had to leave or they'd shoot him.
Yeah. We said it described them as a washing machine that was out of balance. You know how it's taking,
Well,
and
it was
it
wobbling.
wasn't a flying saucer. It was more cylindrical.
Yeah,
Because when he had the stick, it was kind of like a cylinder. It
yeah,
wasn't, and I think Trinity was kind of the same thing. It was more, that
yeah. It was a
it wasn't a
different.
flying saucer either. That it was this thing. It's kind of this is blowing my extraterrestrial theory out of the water, for at least for these guys. I don't know if these are our future, but you can't tell. Anyway, so the guy that carried him had this greasy. It smelled. They had the greasy material
That
all
got
over
on
him.
him. That got on him.
Yeah. Well. Back to the kids. Sorry. Back to the
Yeah,
kids. They said it was sunny and hot, and the thing looked like it was sweating. And
yeah. It
so,
had a sheen. It had a sheen on
yeah.
it.
So, when the guy carried the one creature, he said the grease, it was like a greasy material from the I don't know if it was actively bleeding or if that was its whatever's on its skin. Kind of seems like a fish thing, have a fish as a slime. I wonder if it's
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Could be.
We're only conjecture, but so he got this thing on him, and I don't know how long did it take. I mean, the guy got really screwed up, so they carried him.
The guy got
The
the guy got
enlisted guy.
sick. The guy got sick, and I think he died within a couple weeks.
Yeah, and the
And
doctor they interviewed said they interviewed a doctor. It's worth mentioning they had a lot of interviews of eyewitnesses on this that is very compelling.
the
But the guy
huge
died a couple weeks later.
Yeah, there's a
Bad.
huge number of collaborative witnesses on this whole thing. I mean, everything. Yeah, I mean everything. They it's just a phenomenal number of witnesses coming forward and supporting this whole story. And even Jamie Foxx in his interview, he said, the producer, he said that he thought it was not worth pursuing. But then when he started looking into it and discovering all these people, I mean, it's just like layers of people that
Yeah.
were seeing these things or involved in these things. You had the guy that saw the crash. You had the girls that saw a creature. You had the guy.
The mom also saw the creature.
The mom saw the creature. You had the fire department caught one of the creatures, one of the aliens.
Yeah, they put it in. They didn't touch it though. They put it in a net that they use for animals, and they
Well,
wadded it up in this weird net.
well, Brazil is, since it's like Florida. I wish the fire
Yeah,
department did here. The fire department there is trained to capture wild animals in public places. So dangerous animals. The fire department goes out and gets them. So the fire department brought one in. The guy brought one into the hospital and he died. And that one, I guess they both died at some point. And they, what else happened? They had the girls, the guy, and his sister was and mother really wanted to know why he died. The doctors couldn't tell him. And
this day,
yeah,
they don't know. They said it was, the doctor just said he'd never seen anything like it.
yeah, and
he just died of a massive infection.
And the sister and the mom are like, we want information. We want to know why he died and stuff. And they've been trying to get that from the government for 20 years now, 20 something years, 25 years. And even the one of the creatures, they had the radiologist, they had him X-ray it. He didn't know what he was X-raying. They left it in the body bag, and they processed, and the military processed I guess they ran developed the films for the X-ray machine. Didn't let the guy see it, so it's like he didn't know, and he came
Yeah.
forward and said they had me X-ray whatever this was. What else? What else was there? And then they had one of the military guys that had driven, was one of the
He
drivers for,
drove the thing from the hospital, I think it was, to the military base
yeah, to the,
where, and there was another witness that said it was American. I believe they said it was an American aircraft or later on American, in civilian clothes did interviews
yeah,
regarding the encounter with this thing. So, but they say it was flown back to the U.S.
yeah,
That's the story.
yeah.
But they autopsied this thing to the point where it was all cut to pieces. I mean, the thing was all, at least on one of the one that died. Did one live? I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I
suppose
don't
they
know.
both died.
I need to watch it again. You've watched it twice. I only watched it
I've watched
once.
it twice, so it's really interesting. Back in '57, they've had encounters with craft that they showed, and they interviewed their Air Force pilots about these encounters. They've had them in '57 and '68 and 1977, '86, 1995, 1998. I mean, they've had Brazil just seems to be probably not unlike our Catalina Island area and things. We just haven't had them, we're seeing things here. But their Air Force is very straightforward. They allowed them to just say, yeah, they're not like the U.S. back then where you didn't want to talk about these things. They're like, yeah, we didn't know what this was. And things were all over the place.
Well, our Air Force now is not. They've had policies in since the 50s that they're not supposed to talk about this stuff. We saw that with numerous books and stuff in the 50s where they came out
Now
with,
they're lightening it. They're not, now
oh,
they're asking
they've
more.
they're asking their pilots to report incidents and encouraging them to do it with the stipulation that they will not be ostracized for talking
Right.
about it. But we're not going to hear about it. It's like that report was supposed to come out last week.
Yeah.
And when's it going to come out? I mean, it's mandated by Congress to be out on the 31st. Well, at least the report did come out, but only the classified version. It was supposed to be, the report is supposed to be an unclassified report with a classified annex, and they just created a classified report. Now they've gone back and they have to redact everything or whatever they're going to do to create a report that they can release to the public, and they're working on
Yeah.
that. Is what the people that seem to know these things have talked about.
And we're going to know nothing. just
Yeah,
like we
we're going to
know
get
now.
nothing. They're going to do the same thing that they've always done. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So what else? Then they interviewed one of the drivers that took the thing, and then they tracked down the guy that was with the other guy that got killed.
Yeah.
And they went to his house, and he told them to get out, or he was going to shoot him.
He was shoot. This guy is not wanting to talk about anything.
He was out the window, and he goes, "Is this about the UFOs?" And they're like, "Yeah, we want to talk to you." He goes, "No, you need to get out of here. If you don't leave, I'm going to shoot you."
Yeah. But it's interesting because most of the other eyewitnesses weren't concerned about it. I'm wondering why. Maybe some of the government got to him and said, you can't. Does he have a pension? Yeah, but the government,
Who knows? I mean, he might just be.
not wanting to just. I mean, some of the witnesses are they just don't want to talk about it.
Well, it's like the guy, the Gulf Breeze incident. I mean, that guy doesn't talk about it anymore. And which is interesting because you have the guy, I can't remember, the guy that says he was abducted. He was on James Rogan. I can't remember his name.
Travis Walton.
Travis Walton. Travis Walton's been talking about this.
And Rogan.
on Rogan, and he's been
Yeah.
talking about this for years. So, and you look at the guy with the Gulf Breeze incident, and you say, well, everybody, like the debunking book that I read on it, and other things, people are going, oh, he just did this to make money. But the guy could be doing the whole UFO conference circuit still and talking about this and bringing it. The guy has just gone silent.
Yeah.
Um,
It's interesting because Lazar doesn't do the circuit either, right? Does he do those? I haven't seen his name on the stuff you've sent me.
no, he did. He has in the
Or is he
past. He
doing
hasn't.
anything for money?
He has in the past because he would go to these places and you could get the drawing and the signature thing, which he sells.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so he has done some promotional stuff, but he's not. He does enough. I mean, he did that. He's been on Joe Rogan. He was with that documentary recently,
Right.
and but he's got a business to run. So his business I think, does pretty well for itself, and he's yeah, he probably makes good money doing that. So it's like you got a business to run, you can't just take off. You got
Yeah.
employees and stuff like so. He's got responsibilities. But I'm sure he has done things at different conferences and stuff, but I think it's intermittent.
Yeah. Well, that's his gig though. I'm not making any money off this. But I'm sure he's making some money.
He's made.
I mean, does he make money off the models of the spaceships that we have?
No. He's
Is they making those anymore?
No. He's probably made
Testers.
money off when they probably sold the rights to it or something, and they did that. But he's got he's not like what's the guy that was on Rogan, the other guy? What's his name again? Walton.
Yeah.
I think Walton, this is how he makes his living.
Yeah, he's on every single one of those UFO.
So he's making a living doing this, and Lazar doesn't need to make a living doing this, and the guy that the Gulf Breeze guy, he doesn't need to make a living from this, and that's the big difference. Is that the Gulf Breeze guy had his own business. He was a builder, contractor, and he might still be doing that. And then the Lazar's got his business, and he's got he had inherited wealth anyway at some point. So Lazar has never needed to do this for money.
Oh, I didn't know he had money otherwise.
That's one of the things that I've heard is his I think he was adopted, and I think his father, when his father and parents passed away and stuff, he did get a decent he has money. He's not hurting.
Not hurting.
He's not hurting, and he's got a business to run. So you can't just, and employees. So you know what that's like. You can't just disappear on.
Yeah.
You have to
run your business.
You have to make choices. And his business.
Well, that's interesting.
His business fills a nice niche in the scientific supply area.
So you sent me that link. We're going to get off topic. Well, not off topic, but the dreamlandresort.com thing. The guy got no knock warrant from the FBI.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a ploy to drive business to him. I don't know. Does he really know anything?
I looked at his website. I didn't see anything about the no knock warrant on his website.
Yeah, it seems like it's something to just guide people to look at his website or something. I don't know.
I could go in there in more depth, but the UFO reporter guy, whatever his name is,
Bob Knapp.
He's the one. He was tweeting this.
He's the one that reported this.
Reported it.
Well, and I don't know. He knows this guy or something because, of course, it's a UFO Area 51 thing.
Well, something happened. Who knows with the FBI? Who knows what's going on with them?
Someone else. Did you read the article? Someone else was stating below that they probably found child porn, and then the guy's gonna.
Well, yeah. Away. Well, I saw that. That's like the thing. That's right out of the X-Files. There was one episode where the guy was like trying to talk to Scully, and or Mulder, and then Scully's like, he's been arrested for child porn and stuff like that. And the guy meets Mulder in the alley, and he goes, "Yes, it's another thing where they're you know they did that to discredit me," and then the guy gets killed later in the episode. So
Yeah.
that's a standard.
Is that from that's from an X-Files? Huh?
That's from an X-Files, but that's like a standard. That could be a standard discrediting
Yeah.
move if you want to really discredit somebody. But it's
Yeah, because
also,
when you see that, you automatically go, ooh.
well, yeah. I mean, you just have to. It's
But then you say, well, what happened?
well, it's the old
And
ploy. It's like the old political ploy where you don't need to prove that your opponent did something. You just need them to deny it.
yeah,
So it's the old question: Are you still beating your wife? So what do you say? It's
yeah.
like, no, I'm not still beating my wife, or yes, I am. So whatever you say, you lose.
How about I've never beaten my wife? Why are you
Well,
asking?
well, that's not what your wife says.
Well, I
So
know.
yeah, it's like, oh yeah,
But
your
not talk
ex-wife.
about that too much.
Yeah.
Don't beat his
Well,
wife.
it's like there was
Beat
a,
back.
I'll keep the names out of it. There was a politician in Illinois that was running for office for Senate, and he was the front runner. And I believe he was a Democrat, and he was married to a um, well-known actress, and they got a divorce. So what happened is, and this was illegal. His divorce filings were released to the press, and in the divorce filings, a bunch of this crap came out. About and because of that, this guy needed to drop out of the race. So he dropped out of the race, and the next candidate came in and won easily, and then became president of the United States. So the
Dun dun
dun dun dun.
dun.
So there was a lot of real dirty tricks involved in maneuvering and getting this. Well, it's Chicago. It's like normal in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
just day-to-day
that's
activities
that's
there.
that's a Wednesday. So yeah, so it's like I said, it's easy to discredit, but anytime, I mean, it's the same thing. You could say, here, we've had this story recently. It's like, maybe he had classified, they'll just go and say, we were searching to make sure we had information that he had classified information. So that's probably why they went into to look at this guy's stuff. It's like,
Well, his website's not that earth-shattering, so I don't know if he has some outside that.
well, they confiscated like his computers and everything. So it's like, who knows? I mean, they came in, they took the stuff. Who knows?
Yeah.
Somebody said something somewhere, and they decided to, and then it went into the wrong ears, and then they decided to do it. And he's a guy that, who knows? And it could be just a publicity ploy. Who knows if it even happened? So.
Yeah, that's true. I found it. He sent that, and I thought, so I looked into it, and I said, well, it's nothing earth-shattering about his website alone.
No.
Unless they have something else they're like you said, and like that other person said, well, maybe it's child porn. Maybe it has nothing to do with what he's doing.
Yeah, nothing to do with
nothing to do with Area 51.
Absolutely, it's a possibility.
I've kind of given up on Area 51 as anything that I'm interested in. It's just a test site.
It's
just it's a airport for fancy aircraft to fly around in.
Yes.
I don't know if necessarily it's the sport model UFO anymore. I think they moved on. I'm thinking Dugway.
Yeah.
Is one area.
I haven't. I've been meaning to look at the map on Dugway, but I just haven't bothered. Since I spent a month there at one point, it's like I spent a month there sleeping outside. I never saw anything. So.
Yeah.
And if something exciting had happened in the sky over Dugway, it would have been would have heard it from a dozen different people.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the few people, if not the only person, that slept outside the whole time I was there, because I can't stand sleeping in.
It's big though. It's as big as like Rhode Island or something. It's massive.
Big sky though.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
and you
lot of
should be able to see
sky. I
stuff
mean,
for a long way.
yeah, I could
And it's
see a lot of
flat.
sky. Yeah. Well, it's not flat. There was a ridge behind us and a ridge
Oh,
in
really?
front of us, but we were sitting in an elevated position. So we were elevated, and then it sort of fell away off into the distance. It was
Right.
flat off to the distance, but we were sort of in a, I wouldn't call it a bowl, but a large boxy canyon type thing, but not really.
Yeah.
It's like a ridge, and then another ridge far away, and then another ridge behind us, and but it opened up when you
Right.
looked down range. It just opened up to a huge expanse, and we were running radar 24/7, and nobody reported anything unusual on the radar. But I mean,
Yeah.
these guys wouldn't have anyway. They were doing a lot of there was a lot of flight activity there. But that if anything like secret aircraft or spaceships were running out of Dugway, Utah, when I was there, they would not have been running them because there was a lot of exercises happening, military exercises happening, and there was a
Right.
lot of jets and missile tests, and there was a cruise missile test. There was, our shitty equipment, which stopped working because they couldn't, because I refused to give the techs any more components because they couldn't fix their damn machines. I never realized this till years later. So I might have been responsible for the whole shoot going down. Well, the tech
Nice
kept,
work, Bill.
yeah, good job. Well, I didn't think of it at the time, but the techs kept asking for the same component. And so I gave them all my components, which was all three of them. And then they kept bringing them back, say they don't work. And so I took all my components up to the van where the equipment was to test the components, and gave it to the tech up there, and the guy hooks everything up to all his machines, and he was coming back and saying, no, these components are good. And then I go back, put them in my storage because I was the spare parts guy. And then the techs kept coming to me and asking for the same part. And finally, I had enough. I said, I said, I don't have any more. Instead of just giving them the part, I'd given them three. I'd had them all rechecked, and they all worked. And they kept coming back for them. And I said, we don't have any more.
There's something else wrong.
Oh my God! It just drove me
You didn't
crazy.
flip the switch to turn the switch on.
Try the next component in the flow diagram.
Yeah.
So anyway, because I asked one of the other one of the senior guys, I said, "What's going on?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Well, they just look in the manual, and the manual says that if X and Y are happening, you do Z, and that's all they do. They just repeat because they keep seeing the same error, and it's like, no, it's not. They can't." He's like, "These guys can't. Some of these guys just can't travel. These guys can't troubleshoot."
Yeah.
So I mean, the whole show was down. I was like, "Come on." Gee, crap. And they were up there.
That's enough.
Oh, well, and they had 2 weeks to, yeah, I got in a lot of trouble on that thing, on that shoot. They still promoted me though. Yeah, good old days, good old time,
Yep.
good times. Hey, we're coming up on an hour. Anything else about Moment of Contact?
Nope, I think we pretty much covered the whole shooting match, so to speak.
What else? The mom of the girls did say that people came by and tried to bribe her for her silence, which was sort of a weird bribe
That
thing.
was a weird thing to say.
Yeah, because they said we'll give you a bunch of money, but you can't spend it in Brazil. So that was an odd sort of thing. What else?
Yeah.
Any other details on?
Well, there was a lot of stuff that went on, but it was more, this is basically what happened. And of course, it's the Brazil,
Roswell.
Roswell is what it's pretty much described as. And the main point that we made is that it smelled the same as the Roswell aliens and the death.
One guy died from touching one of them, and
one guy actually died, which was weird.
That's scary too when you think about it. So wear gloves. next time you touch an
Just
alien.
think if our military gets a hold of that and figures out how to recreate that.
Well, you can read. There's a lot of poisons out there. There's things that
Yeah, I don't
there's
know. This seems particularly nasty. Of course, it's not very immediate, so that might not
I
be.
can think of something that's a lot nastier that will.
Yeah.
There's a just to get on a segue. There was years ago. You can look this up on the internet. There's a woman chemist was working in a fume head with this compound. She was double gloved, and this compound is a mercury-based compound. And she got a drop on her glove. She's wearing 2 layers of gloves, but this stuff goes right through the gloves. And she got a drop of it on her finger. And she was dead within like a month.
Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah. And this is yeah, it's one of those things. You can look it up on the internet. And it's just one of those horrifying things because it's like you work with this stuff. I've worked with some real dangerous stuff, and you work with this stuff, and you think that your gloves are protecting you, but with this particular compound, you needed to wear the right type of glove when you were working with it, and she wasn't. And I'm not even sure anybody knew that this glove was porous to this compound, and she was double gloved. So it was a great learning experience. But this, and she knew how toxic it was, and she was being professional in the use of it. But hey, killed her in maybe in a week. She died quick, mercury poisoning. So and a drop. So there's worse things out there. There's always worse things out there. So
yep. Cool.
All right.
Ready to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome comments, questions, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check us out at Alien Probe Podcast on Facebook. Send us an email or comment, and we'll get back to you. Check out our website, alienprobe.net, Twitter and Instagram at alienprobepod. YouTube, like and subscribe at Alien Probe Podcast. Thanks to our senior producer, Robert Anthony, who's now back on U.S. soil. And also, Dr. Bill, thank you very much. And we will see you possibly by middle of the week.
Yeah. So anyway, watch the skies.
Watch the skies.